Welcome back to the Purpose Babe Show. I'm your host, Corie Clark. Thanks so much for tuning in again this week. I hope you have all had a chance to listen to last week's episode. I have had such a great response to that episode with Stu McLaren, and he shared all of his secrets. Well, not all of them because that would take hours, but a bunch of his secrets and tips on having a membership site. And it was so good. So if you have not listened, please take a listen to that. And we have just opened up, I have a pop-up group for his training. So he has his free training that he does once a year, and it's coming up on April 22nd. And I am partnering with him. He's helping me out. He's going to do some little Q&A on my Instagram. So if you guys have questions, make sure you head on over to my Instagram and let me know what those are so that Stu can answer them. He's going to be doing a little takeover. So I'm really excited about that. But so this training is amazing. It's a free workshop, and, like I said last week, Stu is just one of the most genuine people in this entrepreneurial space, and the value that he gives during his workshop that he offers once a year is amazing. And people will watch the very first free workshop and they will start their memberships like that day. That's how good he is. So I hope that you'll sign up for his training. I'm offering some support in my pop-up group where I'll be sharing my takeaways from each of his workshops. There's 3 of them. And I'll be doing some live Q&A in there and offering some support in there as well, so that you have someone to kind of like bounce your ideas off of or ask questions of, because, Stu and his team, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people going through this. And so they obviously can't answer every question. So head on over to CorieClark.com/membership and save your seat in Stu's workshop. You'll also get a link to hop into my Facebook group if you choose to join us in there. And we actually just opened the group yesterday. So it's a brand new group, and it's only going to be open for a couple weeks while we go through his training. And then it's closed. You don't have to stay in there. You don't have to worry about another Facebook group. This is strictly just a way for me to support you while you go on this journey and figure out if a membership is right for you and if there's a way you can add recurring revenue to your business. So enough about that. Let's dive into the show. I have a very special guest for you guys today. My guest today is a friend of mine, and her name is Amber. We met several years ago, and we've been, business buddies, and we're in a peer-led mastermind together. And she's just such an amazing woman. She's very wise, and I cannot wait for you to hear this episode. So let me give you a little intro to this amazing woman. Amber Langley-Gill is an author, coach, and the founder of Biohacker Babe Academy. Formerly an emergency critical care veterinarian, she quickly shifted her focus from veterinary medicine to brain and gut health when her twins were born prematurely. As she embarked on a personal mission to heal her own health and the health of her family, she wrote a book about her simple hacks for optimal brain and gut health called No Brainer. Following her passion for helping people to improve their quality of life from the inside out, Amber now coaches high-level women entrepreneurs to master their time and energy through biohacking so they can unplug at the end of the day without guilt and be fully present in their lives. Can I get an amen? In addition to coaching Biohacking Babes, Amber is a proud member of Team Wedmore and also spends her days homeschooling her twins, the Gillies. Her big dream is to one day own and run a therapeutic equestrian ranch with her family. All right, you guys, I hope that you enjoy this show, and take in some of these tips that she offers because they truly are so beneficial and will help you, find that balance and be present with your family.
All right, Amber, thanks so much for joining the show today. I'm so excited to have you here.
And I'm excited to be here. Thank you for asking.
Of course, of course. I can't wait for my listeners to get to know you and to learn how amazing you are and how you are going to help them live their best lives. So, now Amber and I, we've known each other for how has it been 3 or 4 years?
I feel like it's
Or
going to be
more?
4 years this September.
September. Okay. Amber and I met almost 4 years ago in Orange County. We were part of a special little brand building day, got to know each other, and have been friends ever since. And we've been to a few conferences together back when we were allowed to go to conferences. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. I know. I was thinking we were going to see each other a few more times last year too. And
No, I was going to go to yours,
I know.
but that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. But Amber, why don't you share a little bit about why you are doing what you're doing right now? What brought you to being a biohacker babe?
So, yes, and you probably heard my twins in the background.
Well,
Really
I didn't, but
okay. So, basically, I'm a former emergency critical care veterinarian, and I was introduced into biohacking when our twins, the Gillies, who are now 7 and in the background because I am a work from home mom, who homeschools just like Corie.
yes.
And I learned about biohacking when they were born because they were born prematurely. And I had to focus on brain health for one and gut health for the other. And I realized there was a connection, right? That it always starts with something. And that was kind of like the trigger for me to go down this rabbit hole. And I realized that biohacking is just this fancy term of saying that the habits and these tools and supplements that we use can help us be the best version of ourselves, like the superhuman Corie or Amber that lives within us. So I started my biohacking journey about 7 years ago, and it started with nutrition first, and then it kind of dove deeper into different things like water and breath work and meditation and movement and lymphatic flow, and just kept stacking one on top of the other until I realized that it's everything around us. And biohacking, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't have to be all these fancy gadgets or, IV drips or coffee enemas, help us all. But it could just be just the day-to-day non-sexy habits that we have to help us be the best versions of ourselves. So
I
that's
love
how
that.
it started.
So, is there like an official definition of biohacking, or do you have your own definition of it for some of my listeners who are like, what in the heck are they talking about?
So biohacking, I feel like the definition that's kind of floating around is the external and internal factors to help us be the best versions of ourselves.
Okay.
So anything that's happening inside as well as in our environment.
Okay, awesome. Which is, as we know, as entrepreneurs and moms and homeschool moms, it's
Yeah.
very, very, very important to be the best version of ourselves.
Yes. And I noticed that whenever I start implementing some of these biohacks for the Gillies, our twins, that they participate better in school and they don't have any kind of mood imbalances. I mean, granted, they're 7, so ask me again in 10 years when they're teenagers. But right now, like I notice that if I prioritize their sleep, if I really dial in their nutrition, and if I make sure that they're hydrating and they're getting movement at certain times of the day, then they are their best selves and they show up differently for me. So it's really kind of cool to not just see it for myself, but also to see how some of these things can actually benefit the kids.
Yeah, totally. So, what is like, So for my people who are like, I don't know, never heard of this, but like,
Yeah.
I want to get started, because I love that you're focused more on just some of the easier ways that you can biohack. I mean, I know you do more, but like you said, like, we don't all want to like do a coffee enema or some crazy thing that it's not sustainable. We need to be able to, we're busy, full life people. We need to be able to add in like these little habits and little things that make an like significant impact. So what are, like, for somebody who's brand new, how easy is it to get started? What are some of your, like, maybe your top 3 easiest ways to get started?
Definitely. So I call these my foundational biohacks, because when people get started, and they usually get started a couple of ways. One, they either hire a one-on-one session with me, or they join the academy. And when they do the one-on-one session, they want all the fancy tools and gadgets. And I'm like, if you don't have a solid foundation, then you're basically sprinkling fairy dust on crap, right? And I can give you all the bells and whistles, but we have to make sure that you have a strong foundation. And I would say the top 3 would be to hydrate yourself properly with water, right? I know it's boring. Nobody likes to drink their water, but to know how much water that you are getting. I say a down and dirty rule is like half your body weight in pounds, in ounces. So if you are 140-pound woman, drinking 70 ounces of water throughout the day is a good place to start. And one way that I get mine in is to drink 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning. So I have a 40-ounce jug. It's not a jug, it's like a bottle, but I have 40 ounces next to my bed. I drink half of it before I go to sleep, and then I drink the other half first thing in the morning. So throughout the day, all I need to get is roughly 30 ounces of water, because I already know I got 40 in the bookends of my day.
Okay.
So starting with water, making sure that you're getting a good, clean source of water is amazing. I have a filter. I use the Berkey filter. I don't know if you use one as well.
I have a little bit different one, but yes, I have a reverse osmosis.
Yes, perfect. Good. The second thing I would say for a foundational piece is making sure that you get an adequate sleep. And I, as an ER vet who did shift work and overnights and who had newborn twins, I understand that certain seasons you're not going to be able to get good sleep, right? Even now with our twins being 7, I can't say that every night is good sleep, because sometimes, they pop up in the middle of the night. Sometimes there's a tummy ache. My daughter is having growth spurts, which every growth spurt she talks in her sleep, which freaks me out. I don't know if anybody else's kids talk in their sleep, but apparently it's common for girls that are having growth spurts. But getting good quality sleep. And there is a quiz that's out there that helps you kind of determine how much quality sleep that you need. And in vet school, I used to think that I needed less than 6 hours, right? I thought I needed like 5 hours of sleep and I was golden. I was one of those people, that could thrive on 5 hours. And it's not true. I mean, I think it's like, there's a small percentage of people, like very minuscule amount of people, that can actually thrive on less than 8 hours of sleep consistently. And if your bestie is like, oh, I thrive in 5 hours or less, she's sacrificing in other areas, right? Mm-hmm. So we do need about 7 to 9 hours. Now, your time window may look different than mine based on our chronotypes, based on our DNA. For me, I like to go to bed early and wake up early. My husband likes to stay up a little bit later and wake up a little bit later. So it just kind of depends. I think the quiz is called The Power of When. You just go to thepowerofwhen.com. It's an amazing quiz to take to just kind of get a baseline of like, what time do you best thrive in? It tells you like when is good for you to get a workout in, go to bed, drink your coffee. be intimate with your spouse. Like it has all these, like what is good for you and your DNA. I think it's a fabulous tool to have.
Oh, I have never heard of that. And I am
Yes.
definitely going to go take that test as soon
Yes.
as
So,
we are off of this call.
so when you take the quiz, let me know what it gives you an animal. It's like a dolphin, a bear, a lion. So it gives you an animal that you relate to. So
Okay.
you let me know. And then the third piece I would say as a foundation is meditation. And meditation was the one that I struggled with the most. I think that's just kind of like my personality. You know, as an ER vet, I'm always on the go. I'm like adrenaline junkie. I have like a lot of energy, and sitting still is hard for me. But I realized that once I was quiet and able to focus on my breath, I was able to be more productive, and that my mood was a little bit better and I was more calm throughout the day. And there's so many benefits to meditation with your immune system, with your emotions, your hormones as women in their 30 plus range. You know, those are things that we have to focus on. So drinking your water, trying to get a good night's sleep. And we can talk about hacks on that if you need. And meditation would be where I would start. And the thing is like, don't try to do all three all at once, but just pick one. Like this month, I'm going to really focus on my water and be really just aware of how much I'm getting, right? Maybe I'm getting enough and I can move on to the next one. So just being aware of what you're doing now and then trying to improve it. And then stacking on another habit on top of that.
Yeah.
Is where I would start.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of stacking habits. Have you read the book Atomic Habits?
I have.
I
and
love
Tiny
that book.
Habits. Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've read Tiny Habits.
Yes. Tiny Habits talks about really breaks down habits and how to trigger them and anchor them in your brain.
Okay. Oh, I need to read that. And that was kind of like my biggest takeaway from Atomic Habits was the whole habit stacking thing. Like you already get up and make your bed in the morning and you already go brush your teeth. So what can you add to that so that when you brush your teeth, it triggers you to do the next thing, you know?
Exactly.
So I love that part of that book. That's kind of like, who knows what else the rest of the book was about, but that one helped me really get some good habits going. And so,
and that's the point of the book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just supposed to take one takeaway from it and implement it. And that's all they want. So, and that's how I started with my morning routine is I picked one thing. And then once that was anchored in, I stacked on another, and then I stacked on another. And my morning routine has like really evolved over the past like 4 years, especially to be something that I do every single day. And now it's like, now I have an evening routine. So my morning and evenings are kind of stacked, but that's how it started, right? You pick one thing and then you pick on another and then you add on another.
Yeah, same. I love it. What does your morning routine look like?
It's a little out there. So first thing in the morning, I start the day by an old school alarm clock. I don't like using my phone because I realized that as soon as I had my phone in my hand, I was immediately plugged into what other people were saying. And I was checking text messages and DMs and emails. And I was like, that's no way to start the day. So I have an old school alarm clock. It's like one of those that you find at the hotel. It's not grand.
I mean, do they make any other kinds these days anyway?
No, it's probably not. Like I see all these people take Instagram worthy like snapshots of their end table, and I'm like, mine doesn't look like that with my old school alarm clock. So I start the day with an old school alarm clock. I drink my water, right? I go to the kitchen and I take my brain supplements first thing in the morning. Otherwise I won't do it. And it's just and it helps me go straight outside. So I go outside and I put my feet in the soil and I do some grounding. Even in this weather, which we were talking beforehand, we are in a blizzard. And even though it's cold and it was really high winds today, I'm standing out there in my pajamas, like saying my morning affirmations with my feet in the soil. And I'm thinking to myself,
I love it.
when I did it this morning, it was like, I bet I'm getting some like Wim Hof method, like bonuses, like cold thermogenesis bonuses with this. So I go outside grounding, I come back in. The next thing I do is foam roll. And most people hear about foam rolling like their legs or their back or their muscles. But when I foam roll in the morning, I'm really focusing on my lymphatic flow. So as women, we have a lot of lymph nodes like in our chest areas, particularly underneath our armpits. And we wear, supportive devices that constrict flow.
Yes.
So I make sure to foam roll between my hip and my armpit every morning. And I try to get some like vibrational movement. So like a rebounding, jumpaline, trampoline, as some people call it. I try to get that done. So if you think about your lymphatic flow, it has the lymphs, is the ducts and the lymph nodes and all that stuff, but there's no pump like the heart and the veins and the arteries. There's no pump like the heart does the blood to get it moving. So it relies on muscle and joint movement.
Whoa. I did not know this.
Yeah, that's why like dry brushing is really good. Vibrational plates are really good. Foam rolling, deep tissue massages, wearing loose clothing, saunas. Those are all really good for lymphatic flow.
Wow. Okay. Gosh, I'm learning so much. I need to join your Biohacker Babe Academy.
Yay. Come on. So after I get my lymph moving, I get about 20 minutes of blood pumping, right? Oxygen to the brain. So sometimes I get a 30, like a really good workout in. Sometimes I say that for the afternoon, just kind of depends on what the day looks like. But I try to get blood flowing to my brain, get that oxygen to the brain first thing in the morning. After that, I take either a cold shower or a cold face submersion, basically to just like jolt my body and get myself wide awake because I wake up rather early. So lymph, blood flowing, cold jolt, and then I sit down on my computer and I send 3 notes of gratitude to people. Like it's the first thing I do when I turn on my computer. I send 3 notes of gratitude. I write in my purposeful planner, right? I have it on my desk. The 10 things that I made happen, the things that I'm grateful for, what I would like to accomplish today. I write a prayer and then I send God a voice memo.
Oh, that's cute. Like you record it and save it?
I record and save it. I don't know why I save it. I just put like God chat and I put the date and I have like my voice recording is filled with them. If I ever die and somebody checks my phone, they're going to be like, she's crazy. But I realized that I send like a magical morning practice to a friend every day, but I wasn't doing it to God. And it's the same thing. It's like, I tell her what I'm grateful for. I tell her what I envision for the day happening. And I tell her like a glimpse of my future vision. And it just helps me to see more clearly. And I was like, you know what? I spend time in a devotional and I pray, but I just feel more of a connection when I send God a voice memo.
That's really cool. I like that. It's like,
so I don't know, maybe I'm the only person that does this, but it helps me.
I bet you're not. And that's kind of cool. I mean, it's like a journal. And so
yeah,
I like it.
So he gets some crazy stories from me, but it just like, I just am able to just verbally vomit everything that's on my heart. And so when I sit down to work, I'm ready to go. I have a clear head and I'm ready to start work.
That is really cool. Okay. I wanted to go back to the lymphatic stuff because I was like, I saw some post. I don't know. I follow so many health people because it is super important to me. Like as far as living a purposeful life, to me, like your health is kind of where it all starts, your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, like how are you going to actually live purposefully? Anyways, I follow all these accounts, so I'm not sure which one said it, but she had all of this breast health information and she was talking about either not wearing a bra or wearing like more of like a bralette or something that wasn't so restrictive and stuff. So, I mean, hey, I'm all for not wearing a bra. I wouldn't necessarily do it in public because,
Yes.
I don't need everybody to see what the good Lord has blessed me with.
I love it.
But,
Yes.
Around the house, definitely like avoid it a lot, and then have just been wearing like a bralette or whatever if I feel like I need a little an extra layer between me and the rest of the world.
Yes, I understand. So at home after my workout, I only I wear like a tighter, right, form fitting whenever I work out. But throughout the day I have a bralette and that's what I wear.
Yeah.
So I try to keep as much like loose clothing on around my chest and even around like my thighs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. That whole lymphatic thing is very interesting to me because I definitely have never done anything to actually like be intentional about whatever.
Yeah.
Bringing movement.
to get that flow flowing.
Yeah.
Well, I bet like dry brushing, right, is something that you can start just in the shower, right?
Yeah, I have a dry brush and I do a little bit, but I've never, I mean, like, what do? You just dry brush your whole body or?
So, so you can start, I like to start, if you think about it this way, right? How does it flow, right? And where do you want it to go? So I start at my feet and then I just kind of do like long strokes from like my ankle to my calf. And I just keep kind of going all the way around. And then I do it from my knee to my thigh. So it's like, I'm just kind of visualizing where the lymph is going.
Okay.
And so whenever I'm doing my upper body, it's like from the wrist to the shoulder, right? And then going down because you want it to keep flowing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is so helpful. I am going to do that. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I also am a firm like supporter of mamas getting massages once a month, right? I'm like, honey, I need my lymph to flow. I need my deep tissue massage. But that's like one of my splurges is getting a monthly massage.
Nice. I don't get them monthly, but I have gotten a few since we moved and there is a massage therapist at our chiropractor. So it can be like part of our whole, package deal. And so I just need to add that to my chiro pack.
I tell my hubby all the time, it's like, there's some girls that like to go shopping. Some like to get their nails done. Some like a daily coffee at Starbucks. I like a monthly massage, right? Like that's my thing.
Yeah.
And when I was working ER, I was working probably like 6 days a week and 5 to 6 days. And on my day off, I would always schedule a massage. I was like, don't take that. I would weekly massages. And then now with the kids, like that's just not feasible.
A little hard.
So it is. But I was like, don't take those away. But with last year, they were taken away from me. It was very sad.
Did your husband give good massages?
He tried. Instead, he got me a Theragun.
Ryan's not so good at it. He tries. I mean, God love him. He tries. But it's just, he doesn't necessarily enjoy them. So I feel like when someone doesn't enjoy them, they don't really know how to give them. You know what I mean?
Well, my husband, like he wants to help me. Right. And he wants to, if it's helpful, he wants to do it. But then we'll be watching a movie. He's like, okay, I'll give you a massage. But then he'll get into the movie and then it just hurts, right? He's so strong. And I'm like, can you go a little softer? And he's like, if you don't like it, I'll stop. I'm like, it's not.
Maybe you got to watch a romance movie or something while he's giving you a massage.
Watch a documentary or something.
That's hilarious.
Instead, for my birthday, he got me a Theragun. He's like, I can do this. I'm like, okay. And it's good. It's just not like a really good massage, but it helps me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't complain.
That's amazing. I love it. Okay. So water, sleep,
meditation.
Oh, meditation. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
You talked about, movement was part of your morning routine. Okay. Meditation. So that's something that I felt like a little weird with as well when I first started learning about it, because I mean, obviously, I'm a Christian and I'm like, well, I pray and I'm not going to get into like that woo-woo stuff. But I felt like for me, what was helpful was actually learning I mean, you don't have to make it weird.
Yeah.
It's actually just quieting your mind and learning how to let your thoughts go. And, there's just so much to it that's not weird and woo woo. And it's so good for you.
Yeah. I did my first meditation practice. I'm totally name dropping at a Brendan Burchard event, like back in 2014. And I didn't really like it because we had to sit still for like 15 minutes, but I felt some benefits. Like I felt calmer afterwards. I just knew I didn't like to sit still for 15 minutes.
Mm.
And I think when I got started, I felt like I was doing it wrong. Like, how do people sit and not have like all these thoughts come up? Like, how am I not focused? How am I not like quieting my mind? Like, why are to-do lists popping up? And I had like all this like shame that I wasn't doing it right.
Mm.
And somebody told me two things that really helped me. They said that whenever you meditate, like you can pray, and praying is like you speaking to God, but meditating is you listening to hear God. And so that helped me with the woo-woo stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like to accept it, like, okay, I can see how that makes sense. I'm not quiet enough in my day-to-day to actually listen to him. So I gotcha. And then two was that it's normal. Like it is normal for you to have a flood of thoughts. And the more time that you do it, right, it gets easier to quiet your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to look like completely different for everybody. And my husband, whenever he explained meditation and where he goes, like his brain is just like, he trips me out because he's like, I go in a library in my brain. And it's like a brain vault. And like, I have these thoughts and they come in and I just file them into a different book and I put it like on the shelf. And I'm like, you have a
Wow.
brain vault? Like he's too sophisticated for me. And I was like, that sounds intense. And he was like, what do you think of? I'm like, I'm in this white room in this chair and I have like this like projector, like I'm watching on a wall and it's like all these thoughts keep popping up like a projection. And it's like a movie reel. And I'm just like, okay, I don't need to think about that. And I let it go until it's just color and then stillness. And he was like, that's weird. I'm like, well, everybody's brain is different.
Yes, yes.
And then my friend's like, I'm in a field by the river and I'm just like in nature. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So just knowing however you envision it is completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's going to take practice to get your mind to quiet so that you can hear what you need to hear in that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that helped me because the first, I would say even year, I was just getting a flood of thoughts. And even today, like if I meditate and there's something heavy on my heart, that pops up over and I'm like, no, just quiet, be quiet. We got this. So it takes time.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Do you, I know when I started doing it on my own, I used the Headspace app to like the guided, little 10-minute meditations just to help walk me through it. Do you have anything that you recommend? Like say someone's like, I've never even done that before. Like this sounds weird.
I used Headspace whenever I first started. I think you suggested like in a story or something. And I was like, oh, I'll try that out. And then how I started was I really just focused on my breath because I felt like if I had an app, I was so like tuned into that app. So it was hard for me to actually be quiet. So a couple of things that helped me get started was to do it on a time where I knew I had like at least 30 minutes. And you're not going to meditate for the whole 30 minutes, but I needed that buffer when the kids weren't going to interrupt me, when the hubby wasn't going to call me, when I knew like I could have complete silence for 30 minutes. And then I would set my phone on a timer for 15.
Okay.
And that would just allow me to kind of like see how long I could go and do it. And then if I went too long, it would like, I knew I was on a timer.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I became aware of the timer, like, okay, how long has it been? I knew I was like, okay, it's done. How long did I go? Right? Like how long?
Yeah.
Because sometimes whenever I would always be like hyper aware, like, oh, are the kids calling? Do they need me? And so setting time aside that I knew like no one's going to bother me for at least 30 minutes and setting my timer really helped me get a good place started.
Hmm. I love that. That's a great idea because it's not something like I definitely don't do it every day. So I like that whole idea of I don't want to have to always have like a guided meditation. Like I want to learn how to do it myself. And so that's a great, I love that. Just set the timer,
However long you go, you
just
go.
go with the flow, see how it
Yes.
goes. But it is like, honestly, just even learning some of the principles of it, like it'll help me like at night, like if I'm having a hard time going to sleep, like
Mhm.
just knowing how to quiet my mind, knowing how to like feel like my body, like,
Mhm.
from the top of my head down to my toes and actually like focus on those things instead of on the thoughts that are trying to like race through my mind. Just learning the principles, I think is such a great place for people to start if they've never done it before.
Yes. So at night, whenever I feel a lot of anxiety for whatever reason, right? We're moms in business. Throw it on there.
Always.
It's going to come up. I actually use the Peloton night, like I think it's called evening guided meditation.
I haven't checked that one out.
So they have some there just for the evening, and I will always fall asleep. And I do it on my phone, and then I set a timer on my phone for it to turn into like bedtime mode.
Mm-hmm.
So I do, they're about 10 minutes, and I usually always fall asleep. And then my phone like switches off to do not disturb on its own. So I can just go to sleep and then wake up in the morning.
I
So
love it.
yes,
I love
shout
it.
out to
I'm going to check that one
Peloton.
out. I know. I'm going to check that one out. We have a Peloton. I have not looked at any of their meditations or anything. I just get
Yeah.
on the bike and that's it.
Yeah. I was trying it out because I was like, oh, what are these? I'm going to explore this app. And so I like it. They're very
Very
soothing.
cool. I
Mhm.
love it. I'm going to definitely check that out. I've been taking notes because I hope everybody's like listening and taking notes and learning as much as they can because this is so important. Like you said, we're moms, we're entrepreneurs. Anxiety can creep in or we can ignore our needs because we're taking care of everybody else.
Yes.
Um, and that's what I feel. I feel like there's kind of like the whole self care thing has gotten skewed. And I'm like, no, self care is actually like self care. Like you need to take care of yourself. It's not just like shopping and binging Netflix. Like it's
Yeah. I don't
taking
know when it
care of your
became
body.
like, I don't know when self-care became like an escape, right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, you can binge Netflix or get a face mask. I'm like, a face mask is nice, but is that really self-care? Are you really taking care of
Mhm.
you? Like, as a whole, like,
Yeah.
it's going to help you? Probably not. Like, how can you take care of like your whole being?
Mhm.
And I think meditation is a good way to start with self-care.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I know you know who Colin is. Colin Boyd. He's
Yes.
like my business coach and mentor and friend. But one of our mastermind meetings, he was talking about how you are your greatest asset as an entrepreneur. And obviously, as a wife and a mom and whatever you do, you're always your greatest asset. But a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we end up, spending so much time on our business and putting all this energy and time and money into, funnels and marketing this and doing this and that and staying up all hours of the night to try to get stuff done when we're actually like our greatest asset is actually ourselves. And if we aren't taking care of ourselves and allowing ourselves to have, to replenish our energy and replenish our souls, like we're going to have nothing for our business.
Exactly. Yeah. There's that saying is like the secret sauce is like hustling. Like whenever that came out, I was like, no, like it's like we don't need to hustle harder. We need to like hone in on our habits so that when we sit down to work, we have like the mental clarity. We're able to be efficient with our time. We're able to close that computer down, not because we like worked like for 8 hours, is because we were efficient in like those 2 or 3 hours. So we can have time and energy to live the life that we are trying to, like, we're working towards, right?
Exactly.
So I think that like when I hear people say, oh, I'm hustling, I'm like, it's not a badge of honor to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a badge of honor to like take care of yourself and show like, yes, I am working hard, but I'm also living just as hard.
Yeah. So good.
Sorry. It's
Yeah.
like I get on soapbox when people say,
I know. I do too.
I'm like, no, no, you don't have to work so hard. Like we can work efficient. You don't have to do all the things. You just need to do what you can extremely well.
Yes, exactly. And I definitely like, obviously, I mean, I am a fan of working hard when you need to work hard because you've made a commitment and you need to follow through and not be lazy. But yes,
Well,
it's
that's
more
a different.
yeah, and it's more about being efficient. That comes back to being efficient.
Exactly.
If you're hustling because you've been procrastinating, well, then you weren't efficient in the first place. Okay. So, Amber, I know you said you have something special for my audience. So, tell us about that.
Yes. So I have a little PDF that I whipped up for your audience, and it's basically some biohacks just for them to get started, to help them kind of generate and harness more energy so that they're able to work efficiently, reduce that brain fog, just kind of get a jump start on their biohacking journey.
Amazing. Amazing. And I will link that in the show notes for everybody. I'll be downloading it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And
What was it?
it's like, I hope you get to take away some things.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
eager to.
I'm sure I will. I've already got notes. I've already taken away a bunch from our conversation. And then you also tell us about your Biohacker Babe Academy.
Yeah. So Biohacker Babe Academy is just a membership where I kind of live. And it's for women entrepreneurs, particularly moms, right? Because we're wearing all the hats. And we dive into a biohack every single month. And the purpose of that is when I work one-on-one, I try to I give them all the biohacks, and I realize, that is overwhelming in itself. And so you get the Biohack Babe blueprint where we talk about the foundation, we talk about habits and how to stack them and what does it look like to actually anchor them in your brain. So you have all those tools. And then each month we dive into one biohack just to help you, like I said, utilize your energy and your time to the best of your ability so that you can be the superhuman version, not just for yourself, but like for your business, for your family, and for your community. Because there's nothing that I dislike more than that meme that goes around that says you can't be a mom, an entrepreneur, a homeschooler, and have hobbies, right? Like you can do it all. We just need to harness that energy and use it to the best of our ability.
So good. And how can my listeners find out about that?
Yeah, so I have the link. I'll give it to you, Corie. It's coming up in May. The doors will be opening. I only open the doors once a year because I know.
Get in, girls.
Mainly because I just love to really make sure that everybody's on their journey, and I just kind of give them all my time and energy into those women. So I open the doors once a year. It's coming out in May, and I'll be doing a little workshop beforehand. So the link will be in the show notes.
Yes. I will give you guys that link and the guide, the free little guide. Amazing. You are amazing. I am so inspired by you. And now I'm going to be working on my lymphatic system.
Yes, please.
Get myself flowing. That sounds gross, but whatever.
It does, but it is what it is.
Okay, so I have 2 questions that I ask all of my guests. What is one piece of advice that you have, if you were going to tell a brand new entrepreneur, what's one piece of advice?
I would say that focus on just being 1% better and not trying to do all the things all the time, all the places. Just really hone in on what your super strength is and just focus on being 1% better every single day. Because if you do that, it's going to compound over time and you're going to be the best and the expert in that one thing. And
I
that's what
love it. I love it. Yeah. You don't have to give yourself a full on makeover overnight.
no, I mean, nobody does that. And if you do, you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to stay in integrity. Right.
Yeah.
So just focus on 1% better.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And okay. So, what does living on purpose mean to you?
Living on purpose to me means that oh, it's gonna sound a little morbid at first, but it's whenever I pass away and I am standing in front of God and I can say that I used every single talent within me to heal and not harm and to serve to the best of my ability.
I love that. That's beautiful. It's not morbid at all.
Well, it's like when I pass, that's
I
kind
know.
of weird, but
I know. But we got
so
to know. I mean, yeah, hey, that's where you find your purpose is
yeah,
thinking about when I get to the end of my life, you know,
yeah,
what will I have regrets? Will I be leaving a legacy? I don't
yeah.
think it's morbid. I thought it was beautiful.
Well, one of my biggest fears is kind of silly whenever I say what the word is, but I'll tell you the meaning and it kind of ties in, is envelopes. And the reason for that is I have this reoccurring dream that whenever I pass away, I'm in this room and there's all these envelopes on the walls and God is there and he like motions for me to look at the envelopes. And in the envelopes are all these things that like maybe it's I could have been a speaker at a women's conference, or maybe it's this family that's getting a home, or some are big, some are like involving people I don't know, some are other people. And I'm like, what are all these? There's like thousands of envelopes. And God says to me, and I just got goosebumps, but he says, this is all the things that could have happened if you just would have believed in yourself.
Mm,
And so my goal is to, whenever I pass and I'm in that room, not to have envelopes.
very good.
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
that would be to live on purpose.
Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I loved it. That's
Good.
beautiful.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your expertise. I feel like we all just got a little bit smarter, at least 1%. So we can do this. We can do this,
Yeah,
girls. We can continue to get 1% smarter and better and stronger every day.
yes, just 1%. That's all it is.
Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed that interview with Amber. I've got all the links to her information, to a freebie that she has for you guys. She has a Biohacker Day freebie. So I've got a link to that in the show notes. So make sure you give her a follow. Let us know what you loved about the show today. Screenshot this and share it on Instagram, tag Amber and I, and let us know which of the things we talked about you are going to try and implement into your day so that you can become a biohacking babe. And then don't forget, I've got Stu's workshop and my little bonus training takeaway information going on. So head on over to CorieClark.com/membership, and I will see you in that group and in his training. I'm so excited, you guys. This training is just amazing. Alrighty, you guys, if you enjoyed the show, I would greatly appreciate if you would head on over to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review and subscribe to the show. That would make me so, so happy. I cannot wait to get back to you right here, same place next week.